My wife's new boyfriend smirked as she served divorce papers on our anniversary. I signed without hesitation, then handed her attorney a manila envelope. He read it, looked at her in horror, and said, "We need to settle. Today. For whatever he wants." I had just finished setting the table when I heard her car pull into the driveway. 8 years. 8 years of marriage, and I'd planned this dinner for weeks. Prime rib, her favorite wine, candles, the whole setup. I even left work early to get everything perfect. Then I heard 2 car doors slam, then 3. She walked in first, but she wasn't alone. Behind her was some guy I'd never seen before, wearing an expensive suit and a smile that made my skin crawl. Then came an older woman in business attire, carrying a leather briefcase. "We need to talk," my wife said. No hello. No acknowledgement of the dinner. Just those 4 words delivered like she was firing an employee. The guy behind her leaned against the door frame, arms crossed, that smirk still plastered on his face. He looked around our living room like he was already measuring it for new furniture. The woman with the briefcase stepped forward. "I'm Attorney Collins. I represent your wife in this matter." I looked at my wife. She wouldn't meet my eyes. "What matters?" I asked, though I already knew. I'd known for 3 months. Attorney Collins pulled out a stack of papers. "Dissolution of marriage. Your wife is filing for divorce." The guy by the door actually chuckled. He thought this was funny. He thought I was about to fall apart. My wife finally looked at me, and I saw it. That cold calculation. She'd planned this. The anniversary, the public humiliation with her new boyfriend present. The lawyer is ready to go. She wanted to break me. "Sign here, here, and here," Collins said, laying the papers on the dining table. I just sat right next to good china. I picked up the pen. The boyfriend's smirk got wider. He whispered something to my wife, and she almost smiled. I signed up for all 3 spots. Didn't read a word. Just signed. The room went quiet. Collins looked confused. My wife's face fell. The boyfriend stopped smirking. "That's it," my wife said. "You're not going to fight. You're not going to beg." I set the pen down carefully. Why would I? I walked to the kitchen and opened the drawer where I kept important documents. The manila envelope was right where I'd left it that morning. I'd been carrying it to work and back for 2 weeks, waiting for the right moment. I handed it to Attorney Collins. "Before we finalize anything, you should read this. Take your time. It's thorough." Collins opened the envelope. I watched her face as she read the first page, then the second. Then she flipped through faster, her expression shifting from professional curiosity to genuine alarm. She looked up at me, then at my wife, then back at the documents. "We need to talk," Collins said to my wife, her voice suddenly tight. "Privately? Right now?" What? My wife tried to grab the envelope, but Collins pulled it away. "Not here," Collins said. She grabbed my wife's arm and practically dragged her toward the front door. The boyfriend pushed off the door frame. "Hey, what's going on?" I looked at him directly for the first time. "You might want to call your own lawyer. You're going to need one." His smirk disappeared. Collins and my wife were in the driveway now. Collins talked urgently while my wife's face went from confused to pale to panicked. I could see her shaking her head, hear her voice rising even through the closed door. The boyfriend looked at me, then at them, then back at me. What was in that envelope? I didn't answer. I just started clearing the dinner table. The prime rib was getting cold anyway. Through the window, I watched my wife's entire posture change. Her shoulders slumped. Her hands went to her face. Collins was still talking, gesturing at the papers, and my wife looked like she might actually be sick. The boyfriend went outside. Big mistake. The moment he approached them, Collins held up one hand. "Mr. Brennan, I strongly suggest you leave now." So that was his name. Brennan. I'd known about it for months. Of course. I knew a lot of things. My wife is crying now. Not the pretty, manipulative tears she used to use on me. These were the ugly, desperate kind. The kind you can't fake. Collins came back inside alone, leaving my wife sobbing in the driveway with Brennan, trying awkwardly to comfort her. "We need to settle," Collins said. Her professional mask was cracked. "Today, whatever terms you want." I looked at her. "Read the whole thing. Enough of it." She set the envelope on the table. "This goes to court. My client loses everything. Worse than everything. I know you've been planning this for 3 months." Collins studied me. "You knew she was going to serve you today?" I knew she was planning something. The anniversary seemed fitting. Outside, my wife had collapsed against her car. Brennan was on his phone, pacing, looking increasingly agitated. "What do you want?" Collins asked. I picked up the envelope and removed one specific document. I want her to sign this tonight. Then we can talk about the rest. Collins read it. Her jaw tightened. This is brutal. So, was planning to serve me divorce papers on our anniversary with her boyfriend watching. She couldn't argue with that. I'll talk to her, Collins said. But I'm going to be honest with you. After reading what's in here, I'm not sure why you're being this generous. I looked out the window at my wife, still crying, her perfect plan destroyed. Because unlike her, I said, I'm not interested in destruction. I'm interested in justice. Collins nodded slowly and walked back outside. I turned off the oven, covered the prime rib, and poured myself a glass of that expensive wine. Through the window, I watched Collins show my wife the document I'd selected. Watched her read it. Watched her face go even paler. She looked toward the house, toward me, and for the first time in years, I saw a genuine fear in her eyes. Good. Now she knew exactly how it felt. 20 minutes passed before Collins came back inside. My wife stayed in the driveway, sitting on the curb now, her head in her hands. Brennan was still on his phone, but he'd moved to his own car. Smart guy. He could sense the ship sinking. Collins sat down at my dining table without asking. She looked tired suddenly, like she'd aged 5 years in the last half hour. She wants to know what you're asking for, Collins said. I think you already know. I poured myself another glass of wine. Didn't offer her any. You read the documents. I need to hear it from you. I sat down across from her. 3 months ago, I came home early from a business trip. The flight got canceled. Caught an earlier one. Found her phone unlocked on the kitchen counter. She was in the shower. Collins didn't interrupt. Curious thing about people who think they're clever. I continued. They get careless. She had messages open with Brennan, not just affair stuff. Planning. They were planning how to clean me out. That's a serious accusation. It's a documented fact. I pulled out my own phone and opened a folder. She'd been transferring money from our joint savings into an account I didn't know about. Small amounts at first. 200 here, 500 there. Then it got bigger. Last month alone for $1,000. Collins's expression didn't change, but I saw her hand tighten on her briefcase. I installed monitoring software on our home computer. Legal in this state, by the way, since it's jointly owned property. Watched her research divorce attorneys, calculate asset splits, even look up how to hide money in a divorce. You're saying she committed fraud? I'm saying she attempted it. I caught her before she could finish. I showed Collins a screenshot. This email is from 2 weeks ago. Brennan tells her to move faster because the idiot hasn't noticed anything yet. Collins actually winced at that. There's more, I said. Brennan works at Sterling Financial, the same company where my wife works. She's in accounting. He's in client services. Want to guess what they were doing? I don't need to guess. It's in your documents. They were using her access to client accounts to feed him inside information. He'd been front-running trades, making recommendations to clients based on what he knew was coming. Small scale, nothing that would trigger immediate red flags, but enough to pad his commissions significantly. Collins closed her eyes. That's securities fraud. Federal crime. Yes. I have 6 months of documentation, emails, trade records, her access logs matching up perfectly with his client recommendations. I also have recordings of them discussing their recordings. One-party consent state. I reminded her I recorded conversations in my own home with my own wife. Completely legal. She admitted everything, thinking she was just venting to her lover about her stupid husband. Outside, my wife had stood up. She was yelling at Brennan now, who was backing toward his car. So, here's what I want, I said, keeping my voice level. She signs a full disclosure agreement, admitting to the financial fraud attempt. She returns every dollar she moved without my knowledge. She agrees to a division of assets that reflects the fact that she tried to steal from me, which means she gets nothing we acquired during the marriage except her personal items and a car in her name. That's everything, Collins said. Not quite. She also gets to avoid federal prison. Collins looked at me sharply. You're using that as leverage. I'm offering her a way out. The evidence I have on the securities fraud, I could turn over to the SEC tomorrow. Brennan would definitely go down, and she'd be charged as an accomplice. But if she agrees to my terms tonight, I will keep it private. She loses the marriage and the assets, but she keeps her freedom. That's coercion. That's the consequences. I leaned back. She chose to betray me. She chose to try to steal from me. She chose to commit security fraud with her boyfriend. I'm just choosing not to destroy her completely. Collins studied me for a long moment. You're angrier than you look. I'm furious, but I'm not stupid. Anger makes you sloppy. I stayed calm, documented everything, and built a case that can't be fought. How did you know she'd serve you today? I didn't know the exact day, but I saw her getting excited this week, smiling at her phone more. That look she gets when she thinks she's outsmarted someone. I figured it was coming soon, so I've been carrying that envelope everywhere. Colin stood up. I need to talk to my client again. Take your time. I've got nowhere to be. She walked back outside. Through the window, I watched her show my wife something on her phone. Probably doing the math, showing her exactly how bad this could get. Brennan's car started. He was leaving. My wife lunged toward him, banging on his window, but he just shook his head and drove off. Betrayal hurts, doesn't it? Now she knows. Collins came back inside with my wife trailing behind her. My wife looked destroyed. Her makeup was ruined. Her expensive dress wrinkled. Her whole careful image shattered. She tried to speak. I never meant. Don't. I cut her off. I don't want to hear it. Attorney Collins, does your client agree to my terms? Collins looked at my wife, who nodded miserably. She agrees. Good. I have the paperwork ready. It's in the envelope already drafted. She signs tonight, and this ends tonight. My wife's voice cracked. Why are you doing this? I thought you loved me. I looked at her. Actually, I looked at her. I did love you. Past tense. You killed that when you decided I was just an ATM to drain. When you brought your boyfriend to serve me papers on our anniversary. When you call me an idiot who wouldn't notice, I didn't mean. Yes, you did. You meant every word. You just didn't think I'd find out. Collins pulled out the paperwork I drafted. It was thorough. My attorney had helped me prepare it weeks ago, covering every possible angle. My wife read through it, tears dripping onto the pages. Each clause hit her like a physical blow. The house stays with me. The savings accounts, minus what she stole, stay with me. The investment portfolio stays with me. She gets her car, her personal belongings, and 30 days to find a new place to live. This isn't fair, she whispered. Fair. I almost laughed. Fair would be turning you and Brennan over to federal investigators. Fair would be making sure everyone you know understands exactly what you did. Fair would be posting those recordings online so your family, your friends, everyone can hear you planning to betray me. She flinched at each word. This is mercy, I said. Sign it and walk away with your freedom, or don't. And I will make some phone calls tomorrow morning. She signed. Her hand shook so badly she could barely write her name, but she signed. Collins witnessed it. It's done. I took the papers and added them to my envelope. You can leave now. My wife stood there like she was waiting for something, an explanation, an emotional breakdown, something that would make sense of how completely her plan had failed. How long have you known? She finally asked. 3 months, and you just watched. You let me keep going. I needed documentation. If I confronted you immediately, you would have covered your tracks. This way, I got everything I needed. She shook her head slowly. You're not the man I married. Yes, I am. I'm exactly the man you married. You just never bothered to actually know me. You saw what you wanted to see. Someone you could manipulate and control and eventually discard. Collins cleared her throat. We should go. My wife walked toward the door, then stopped. What about Brennan? What about him? Are you going to report him? I thought about it. That depends on whether he bothers me again. If he's smart, he'll disappear and hope I never feel motivated to make those calls. He won't bother you. Good, because the evidence doesn't expire. I can turn it in tomorrow or 5 years from now. As long as he stays away from me, stays away from you, and lives with the knowledge that his entire life hangs on my discretion, we're fine. She actually looked sorry for him. Even now, even after he'd abandoned her the second things got difficult, she still cared about him. That told me everything I needed to know. They left. Collins's car pulled out first, my wife following in her own vehicle. I watched until the tail lights disappeared down the street. Then I went back to the kitchen, reheated the prime rib, and ate dinner alone at the table I'd set for 2. It was the best meal I'd had in months. The next morning, I went to work like nothing had happened. Same routine. Coffee at 6:30, shower, dress shirt, and slacks. Out the door by 7:15. My coworker Garrett noticed immediately. You look different. Different how? I don't know. Lighter. Like you're not carrying something heavy anymore. I shrugged and started up my computer. Just slept well. Around 10 o'clock, my phone started buzzing. My wife. I sent it to voicemail. She called again. Voicemail. By the 5th call, I blocked her number. Then the texts started coming from numbers I didn't recognize. Friends of hers, probably. People she'd convinced to intervene on her behalf. I blocked those, too. Garrett rolled his chair over. Everything okay? Yeah, just some spam calls. 5 in an hour. I looked at him. Garrett had been at my wedding. He'd been there for beers when things were good, and he'd noticed when things went bad. He deserved more than a lie. My wife served me divorce papers yesterday on our anniversary. His face went through several expressions. Shock, anger, sympathy. Jesus. I'm sorry, man. Don't be. I signed them. You what? She wanted a divorce. I gave her one. Simple as that. Here it studied me. That's the most unsimple divorce I've ever heard of. Maybe. But it's done. My phone buzzed again. This time it was my mother-in-law. I stared at the name on the screen for a moment, then answered. Hello, Patricia. What did you do? Her voice was sharp, accusatory. My daughter called me crying this morning. She said you threatened her. I didn't threaten anyone. I presented facts and offered terms. She accepted them. She says you forced her to sign papers, that you blackmailed her. Patricia, stop. I kept my voice calm. Your daughter tried to steal from me. She was having an affair and planning to take everything I'd worked for. I have documentation, audio recordings, bank records, everything. So, when she tells you I'm the bad guy here, remember that I'm the one who could have sent her to prison and chose not to. Silence on the other end. If you want the whole story, I continued. I'm happy to send you copies of everything. The emails where she and Brennan called me an idiot. The bank transfers she made without my knowledge. The recordings where she admitted to securities fraud. All of it. Your choice. More silence. Then quietly securities fraud. Federal crime. She and her boyfriend were using insider information from her company. I have 6 months of evidence. Oh my God. Patricia's voice changed completely. She told me you were being unreasonable about the house. The house that's solely in my name because I bought it before we got married. Yeah, I'm keeping it. I didn't know that. She's probably not telling you a lot of things. Patricia sighed heavily. I need to call you back. She hung up. I set my phone down and went back to work here. It was still staring at me. Dude, what? That was ice cold. That was necessary. She's going to try to spin this. Make me the villain. Better to get ahead of it with the truth. Still your mother-in-law, ex-mother-in-law, and she deserves to know what kind of daughter she raised. My phone stayed quiet for the rest of the morning. I got actual work done for the first time in weeks. No anxiety, no wondering what my wife was doing, just clean, simple focus. At lunch, I got a call from my attorney, Sterling Vaughn. Heard you closed the deal last night. Vaughn said, how'd it go? She signed everything. Her lawyer witnessed it. It's done. Good. I'm filing the papers this afternoon. Since she already agreed to all terms, this should be one of the fastest divorces I've ever processed. How fast? If there are no complications, 60 days, maybe less. 60 days? 2 months, and I'd be completely free. What about the other matter? I asked. Vaughn paused. The securities fraud evidence. Yeah, my advice. Keep it locked away unless Brennan or your wife try something. It's good leverage, but using it opens up a whole new level of complexity. Federal investigations, depositions, potential criminal charges. It'll drag on for years, so I keep it as insurance. Exactly. As long as they stay quiet and don't bother you, everyone moves on with their lives. They step out of line, you've got the nuclear option. Fair enough. I hung up and grabbed lunch from the food truck outside. Chicken tacos. I sat on a bench in the small park across from our office building and just ate watching people walk by. My phone buzzed. Patricia again. I talked to her. Patricia said when I answered, she admitted it. Some of it anyway. The affair, the money transfers. She's claiming the rest is exaggerated. It's not. But believe what you want. I believe you. Patricia sounded exhausted. Her father and I are coming to see her this weekend. We need to have a serious conversation. That's between you and her. I wanted to apologize. I shouldn't have called you this morning and accused you of anything. You've been good to my daughter for 8 years, and this is how she repays you. I'm ashamed. Something in my chest loosened slightly. I appreciate that. Are you going to report them? The fraud thing only if I have to. Right now, I just want to move on. That's more generous than they deserve. We said goodbye, and I finished my lunch in peace. That afternoon, my wife's car showed up in our driveway. Our driveway. I was still getting used to the singular possessive. She knocked on the door. I didn't answer. She knocked again harder. I know you're in there. She called through the door. We need to talk. I opened the door but stayed in the doorway, blocking her entrance. You have 30 days to move your belongings out. After that, anything left becomes mine. We have nothing else to discuss. Please just let me explain. Explain what? How you accidentally had an affair. How you accidentally stole money from our accounts. How you accidentally committed securities fraud. She flinched. I made mistakes. No. Forgetting to pick up milk is a mistake. What you did was calculated, planned, and deliberate. I never meant to hurt you. You meant to rob me and leave. The hurting part was just a bonus. Tears started forming in her eyes. The practiced kind, the ones she used to use when she wanted something. Those don't work on me anymore. I said, what happened to you? You used to be kind. I'm still kind. Kind would have been reporting you to the authorities immediately. Kind would have been telling everyone we know exactly what you did. I gave you a clean exit. That's more kindness than you showed me. I want to fix this. It's not fixable. It's done. Move on. You're really not going to fight for us. I almost laughed. Fight for us. There is no us. There hasn't been for months, probably longer. You checked out of this marriage a long time ago. You just wanted to make sure you got paid on your way out. That's not true. Your own lawyer read the evidence and told you to settle immediately. Your own mother called me back to apologize after hearing your side of the story. Even Brennan drove away the second things got complicated. Nobody's on your side here because there is no side. You're just wrong. She stood there trying to find words that didn't exist. 30 days, I repeated. Then I'm changing the locks, and anything left inside goes to donation. I closed the door. She stood on the porch for another minute. Then I heard her car start and drive away. Garrett texted me that evening. Beer. I met him at Murphy's Tavern, a place we've been going to for years. It was Wednesday night, so the place was mostly empty. We grabbed a booth in the back. How are you holding up? Garrett asked after the server brought our drinks. Honestly, better than I expected. You seem pretty calm today. I've had 3 months to process this. Found out about the affair in June. Today's September. I've already done the angry phase, the hurt phase, all of it. By the time she served those papers yesterday, I was just ready for it to be official. Garrett shook his head. I don't know how you kept that quiet. I would have exploded. Exploding doesn't solve anything. It just makes you look unstable and gives them ammunition. I stayed quiet, gathered evidence, and built an airtight case. Now it's over and I won. Winning a divorce is a weird concept. Winning means I kept what's mine and didn't let her steal from me. In those terms, yeah, I won. We drank in comfortable silence for a moment. So what now? Garrett asked. Now I live my life. Work, hobbies, friends, all the things I stopped doing because I was trying to save a marriage that was already dead. Any plans? Thinking about taking that Alaska trip I've been putting off for 5 years. She always said it was too cold, too expensive, too far. Turns out I don't need her permission anymore. Garrett raised his glass to freedom. I clinked my glass against his. To freedom. We finished our drinks and I drove home to my house. My name on the deed, my furniture, my space. For the first time in years, it actually felt like home. 2 weeks later, Garrett came by my desk. Have you heard about Sterling Financial? They just fired 2 employees. Security walked them out this morning. I pulled up LinkedIn. Several vague posts from their employees. Shocked by today's events, the company had found the fraud on their own. My phone buzzed. Patricia, did you report them? She asked. No, their audit caught it. She lost everything. No job, no references. She caused this when she committed fraud. Actions have consequences. Patricia's voice turned cold. Her father wants to know if you'll help financially. No, she has 3 weeks to move out. After that, she figures it out herself. That evening, my wife was waiting on my front steps. I lost my job, she said. Security walked me out. Everyone saw you created this situation, not me. She followed me inside. I have nowhere to go. You have 21 days. Find somewhere. I can't afford anywhere. Should have thought about that before committing fraud. She sank onto the couch. What am I supposed to do? Get a job. Retail, food service, whatever. Rebuild. I'm an accountant. You were an accountant. Now you're unemployed. Adapt. Her voice broke. You really don't care anymore. I cared for 8 years. I cared until I found out you've been planning to betray me for months. My caring has limits. You found them. She left crying. I made dinner and went to bed. Over the next week, mutual friends reached out. Some believed her version. Some believed mine. I didn't fight for anyone's support. The ones who knew me well didn't need convincing. 3 weeks in, she moved her stuff out while I was at work. The house felt emptier but cleaner. Her decorative pillows gone, her scented candles, the terrible art she'd insisted we hang. The space looked better. She left a note. I'm sorry for everything. I hope someday you can forgive me. I threw it away. She was only sorry she got caught. On her last day, she came with her father to grab final items. He helped load boxes, then asked to talk privately. I'm ashamed of what she did, he said. Patricia told me everything. You didn't deserve that. No, I didn't. Thank you for not pressing charges. You could have destroyed her completely. I chose peace. Prosecuting her would have dragged on for years. This way it's done. He shook my hand and left. I walked through the empty house, checking each room. In the bedroom, I found a photo from our wedding. Two people smiling, completely unaware of how it would end. I threw it in the trash with everything else. 6 weeks after signing the papers, the divorce was finalized. Vaughn called with the news while I was having coffee at my kitchen table. It's official. You're a free man. That was fast. When both parties agree to everything, it moves quickly. She didn't contest a single term because she couldn't. The evidence made sure of that. I thanked Vaughn and hung up. The house was quiet. My house, my space, my life. I took that Alaska trip I'd been postponing. 2 weeks in Denali National Park, hiking trails I'd researched for years. No schedule, no complaints about the cold, no drama, just mountains and silence. When I got back, Garrett convinced me to join his softball league. You need to get out more, meet people. He wasn't wrong. I'd spent 8 years organizing my life around someone who'd been planning to leave anyway. Time to rebuild. At work, I got promoted. The focus I'd been missing for months came back sharp and clear. My boss noticed. Whatever you're doing differently, keep doing it. 3 months after the divorce, I ran into my wife at Target. She was in the checkout line with generic brand everything, counting change from her wallet. She saw me and froze. I nodded politely and kept walking. Didn't stop, didn't engage. She wasn't my problem anymore. In the parking lot, she caught up to me. Wait, please. I stopped but didn't turn around. I'm working at a call center now. She said minimum wage. Living with my parents. It's humiliating. You made your choices. I know. I just wanted you to know I understand now what I threw away. What I lost. I finally looked at her. She'd aged. The stress showed in lines around her eyes. Her hair is not as carefully styled. Clothes from discount racks. Good luck with everything. I said that's it. That's all you have to say. What else is there? You wanted out. You got out. I moved on. End of story. Do you ever think about us? No. That was a lie. Sometimes I thought about the early years before things went bad. But those memories belong to different people. People who didn't exist anymore. I hope you find happiness, she said quietly. I already did. It started the day you left. I got in my truck and drove away. In the rearview mirror, I watched her standing alone in the parking lot, getting smaller until she disappeared completely. That night, I made plans with Garrett and some friends for the weekend. Hiking trip, nothing complicated. My phone stayed silent. No crisis calls, no drama, no manipulation, just peace. I poured a beer, sat on my back porch, and watched the sunset free. 1 year later, I was having dinner at a steakhouse downtown with Caitlin and Connor. We'd kept in touch after the divorce, and they'd become genuine friends again without the awkwardness of couple dynamics. You look good, Caitlin said. Seriously, best I've seen you in years. I feel good. Connor raised his glass to new beginnings. We were halfway through dinner when I noticed her. 2 tables away, my ex-wife was serving drinks. She wore the restaurant uniform, her hair pulled back, moving efficiently between tables. She hadn't seen me yet. Is that Caitlin who followed my gaze? Yeah. Do you want to leave? No, she's working. I'm eating. Neither of us needed to make it weird, but she eventually spotted me. Our eyes met for a second. She nodded slightly professionally, then continued working. No drama, no scene. When we left, she was at the host's stand. I stopped briefly. You're doing well? I asked. Getting there. I finally got my own apartment last month. Small, but it's mine. That's good. I heard you got promoted. Congratulations. Thanks. An awkward pause. Then she said, I'm seeing a therapist now. Working through things, understanding why I made those choices. That's smart. I don't expect forgiveness. I just wanted you to know I'm trying to be better. I looked at her. She seemed sincere, humbled by consequences, maybe actually learning from them. I hope it works out for you, I said. And I meant it. Not because I wanted her back. Not because I forgave her, but because holding on to anger would have given her space in my head she didn't deserve. Outside, Garrett was waiting. We were going to catch a movie. You okay? He asked. Yeah, actually I am. The night was cool, clear. I had plans for the weekend. A date on Saturday with someone I'd met at the climbing gym. Nothing serious yet, but potential. My house was paid off, my savings rebuilt, my life entirely my own. I'd stopped checking my phone obsessively. Stopped wondering what she was doing or if she regretted it. Stopped caring about the past. The divorce had been brutal, but it freed me from a marriage that was dead long before she served those papers. From someone who saw me as a resource instead of a partner. From a version of myself that accepted less than I deserved. As I drove home that night, I realized I couldn't remember the last time I'd thought about her without being prompted. She was just someone I used to know, and I was just someone who'd learned to choose himself.